All right, so back with another video in my log cabin building series. If you watched any of my first videos on that topic, been cutting some logs to um, give them time to dry out so I can build my off-grid cabin, set myself up in retirement. Want to be able to have a cabin that is fully functional but off the grid, so who knows what's going to happen in the future. Maybe things get really bad, economy collapses, who knows. But I want to be able to have a place to hang my hat and lay down and go to sleep. It's not tied to the grid. Then in the best of situations, if I'm not there, I wouldn't have any residual bills like the minimum electric bill or minimum water bill or anything like that. So I've been able to get logs up to this point using my chain hoist. I load them onto my wagon. You've seen some videos. I'll link to previous videos if you haven't seen any of those. But then I got down to about 12 to 14. I can't remember how many logs are there. They're pretty good size white pine logs, and they're too heavy for me to lift with my chain hoist and my lifting contraption that I use. So I have to cut those on site. And with this video, I want to show you how I'm able to cut logs, square them up into cants to give them time to dry so I can cut them later for usable size. But anyway, make a long story short, I'll go ahead and show you what I use. It's called the Haddon Lumber Maker. Here's what the actual contraption looks like, and I'll demonstrate how to attach it to the chainsaw in a minute. Box is kind of faded. Back of the box looks like this. Um, Actually, when I was looking through my box, I found the receipt. Show you how much I paid for it. I bought this in June of 2005 directly from the company. Of course, the wind's going to blow. I bought it for $84.95 plus $10 shipping. Total cost was $94.95, and again, this was in June of 2005. So I'm sure the cost has gone up a little bit. But I would say, if you've already got a chainsaw and you're just looking to square up some logs for whatever purpose, I'm not going to tell you, what you need to cut logs for or what you can. But this is a pretty good deal. I do have a sawmill, a Hudson sawmill now that I use. But even the logs that I need to get, if I had them here at the house, they're too big to go on my sawmill, so I would have to cut them down anyway. So I'll go ahead and show you, what this looks like when you're ready to actually use it on the saw. So the theory is pretty straightforward. This part goes on the chainsaw bar, and for this part you'll use a piece of 2x4 lumber, tack it to the log, and it'll serve as a guide. And I will demonstrate all this. But this is designed to use with the standard dimensional 2x6, which is actually 5.5 inches wide. And it needs to be dry lumber. When I first bought this, I bought a 2x6 by 10-foot long piece of treated lumber, thinking, well, I'll buy one piece of lumber and I'll use it, indefinitely. But the 2x6 treated lumber was it's actually a little bit wider than 5.5, since they inject the solution into the timber. All right, so when you set this lumber maker on the bar itself or underneath the bar, this is the pivot, which I'll show you how it works. You want to make sure there's no interference with the actual bottom of the chain and the lumber maker itself. All right, so set screws, pretty simple. 3 set screws. Simply gonna hold the pivot in place. All I'm doing right now is just kind of putting pressure on it, and then I'll go to the opposite side screw and I'll set it. You can see how it's kind of torquing the chain saw itself. It's kind of straightening itself automatically when you tighten it. I'm not really tightening them right now. I'm just putting no pressure on it. If you can see on the back side, so the screws are starting to contact the bar. And with pressure set screws, if you have multiple, this one was firm. When I tighten the other two, it kind of feels loose. So each one feels loose until you go over it multiple times. Each time you tighten them, they seem to get a little bit looser. Now you don't have to crank on these and get them super tight. Nature of pressure set screws, especially if you have multiple screws, you'll know when they're tight. You don't have to keep tightening it to maybe deform the bar or anything like that. So when you keep going around, making your round from set screw to set screw, eventually you won't be able to get much out of them and you'll know it's tight. At this point, I'm just barely able to get anything from them. And that's pretty much it at this point. So I'm setting this up at the house right now. When I get to the field to actually start using it, I'll start it up and run it a few feet and then back it out and go ahead and double check the tightness of the screws. But in terms of mounting, that's all you have to do. So in a few minutes, let me get set up and I'll show you what this looks like when you're actually ready to use it on a log.